Hello, welcome to Stories for Wonderful Children. I'm Dan Wendelin, your host and storyteller. In late 2020, I told my children a story called Myra and the Online School for Adventuring, while they were having to attend online school during the pandemic. This is that story, shared with you with their permission. We so hope that you are enjoying it. Myra had been enjoying her freedom from the stalker llamas. After the night where she had followed the stalker llama around, and where a stalker llama had gotten a very squeezy hug from Tweety, they had stopped popping up. And she wasn't really sure whether that meant that, she wasn't being followed by wasn't no longer in trouble with the school administration, or whether the stalker llamas were just refusing to follow her in particular. But she was doubly surprised when she was out practicing nighttime sneaking and hiding in shadows when she saw a stalker llama. And usually they weren't out and about all that much, and she froze in the shadow, thinking that perhaps it was looking for her. Then she saw that it was walking towards the edge of the woods, and she thought maybe it was going to talk to deer the way it did. And so she followed it, slipping from shadow to shadow, which was something she was getting quite good at these days. And she realized that it was following a student. And as she snuck closer, she realized that that student was Hettie. Hettie was standing on the very edge of the woods. Actually, Myra realized as she got closer that Hettie was not standing. She was kneeling. And Myra was pretty sure that she must be praying, although her eyes were open. Myra looked over at the stalker llama. She was pretty sure the stalker llama had noticed her by now, but it was studiously ignoring her, which was fine with her. She walked right up to Hettie, although not too close, because she had discovered as she had gotten better at sneaking that it was a bad idea to sneak too close to people, particularly people who might do unpleasant things when surprised. So she stayed a respectful 3 or 4 paces back, waiting for Hettie to finish her prayer and stand up or become aware of her presence. And after she'd stood there for a minute or two, she just very quietly sort of cleared her voice. And Hettie said, "I know you're there. Who are you, please?" "It's me, Myra," said Myra. "Oh," said Hettie, looking back at her. "I thought maybe you were just a stalker llama clearing its voice or something." "No," said Myra, "your stalker llama's over there." "Ah," said Hettie. "Yes." "So," said Myra, "as someone who's had a stalker llama, I hope you don't mind me asking, but what'd you do?" Hettie sort of half smiled, half grimaced. She said, "Well, all your talk about the woods and deer church got me curious, and so I went in by myself, which I know is a bad idea, looking for this clearing that you'd been telling me about, and..."
"Oh no, Hettie encountered the string demon, didn't she?"
"Well, she saw..." Myra asked her the same thing. She said, What did you see? Did you see the string demon?" And Hettie said, "No, but I saw..." Well, one of the things that we learn to do in zealot classes is to look for auras, like traces of good or evil and magic. And there I found the clearing, and where the deer must hold church, and it is just covered in the aura of divine magic. But I could also see, off at one edge of it, the remains of something that was, I don't know, I've never seen anything like it before, but it was the opposite of divine. And it made me afraid just to look at it. And Myra said, "Yes, it was there, not that long ago when we were in that clearing." "Well, anyway," said Hettie, that was 2 nights ago. And when I when I came back, I asked one of my professors about it, and he told me not to go into the wood by myself. And then, like 2 hours after class, this llama started following me around. Yeah, said Myra. I wonder why it is. Are they just trying to protect us, or are they hiding something? Hettie shrugged. I don't know. I just know I'm not going to go in the woods anymore. At least not as long as I have my friend here. Myra said, well, you know, there are ways. What do you mean? Said Hettie. I know people, said Myra. Big rocky people who give cold hugs. I have no idea what you're talking about, said Hettie. It's okay, said Myra. It's sort of a number of inside jokes that aren't really all that funny, but yeah, I had a stalker llama assigned to me too. And then Hettie held up a hand. She said, something's coming. What do you mean? Said Myra. Shh, said Hettie. Myra sort of melted back into the shadow of a tree and listened carefully, and she heard rustling. She didn't think that it could be the string demon or a giant spider because she'd never heard about either one of those things coming close to the edge of the wood. But her hand crept to her dagger anyway, and she pondered what was the right thing to do here. She wondered if Hettie would be able to hide in the shadows with her, and then with a rustling, a deer stepped out of the woods and approached them. First, it walked up to the stalker llama and stared at it for a minute, and the stalker llama stared back, and then the deer leaned forward, and its nose touched the stalker llama's nose, and the stalker llama promptly turned and walked back toward campus. And then the deer stood right in front of Hettie, and it sort of bowed its head for a moment, and its antlers glowed that faint blue color that Myra had seen once before when they were battling the string demon. And Hettie reached out a cautious finger and touched the tip of the antler, and then rested her hand on the antler. And then she closed her eyes. Oh, she said. Oh, why have they never told me about this in zealot class? And then the deer turned and walked back into the woods. Hettie turned to Myra. She said, they are definitely good, and I will help you. Whatever it takes, we're going to get the information they need. We're going to find out what this string demon thing is, where it's come from. And, she said, we're going to find out why the school administration wants so badly for us not to know about it. I'm in. Good, said Myra. Good. Then we have work to do. Come on back to my dorm room. I want you to meet Tweety, and we can have a little talk about making sure that the stalker llama doesn't interfere too much with your investigation, and what our next step is. And they headed back towards her dorm. And that is the end of the story for tonight. Thanks for listening to Stories for Wonderful Children. I created today's show, but questions and running commentary were supplied by my children. The theme music was created by Brandon Thompson, and our wonderful logo was designed by Silas Swindelin. If you know someone who might enjoy the show, please tell them about it. Do you want more stories? You can now subscribe to the show and help pick a new story for me to tell every month. The show's website is storiesforwonderfulchildren.com. Until next time, I'm Dan Wendelin, reminding you to tell someone you love a story.